right, and welcome to the Hops and Bops podcast, episode 10. We are in the double digits finally. Wow. I am producer Tom.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Mike.
And today it's we came back to producer's pick. It's time again. And today I've chosen two of my very favorites. I've chosen a rap album called Food by MF Doom. And for the beer of choice today, we have Connecticut Valley Brewing Company's Devil's Hopyard. It's a double dry hopped New England style IPA, which, you know, IPAs are our favorite on this show apparently.
Yeah, we're almost exclusively IPAs. Almost. Not really.
So, let's crack them open. Let's get a bit of a taste.
You got a squirt there on yours.
I know, right? I'm just excited, you know? Look at that. It's got a nice blondish color, right?
Ooh.
If I'm using that correctly. I've got the Rotary Club glass today for some reason.
How old are you?
Grandpa Tom.
Good old Grandpa Tom.
Good old Tom.
Oh!
Look at that.
Ooh.
With that nice little drip.
You filled it right to the top of your...
dripper there.
I got shit floating.
The head is lined up with the Whaler stripe there. Oh, I gave it away. I said what your glass was.
Yeah, it's Whalers.
I have a Sam Adams Oktoberfest mug.
Yeah, it's got the grip on it.
Yeah, the nice little grip with the little circle indentations. Trying to, hang on to fall last little bit.
All right.
Well, when this goes up, it'll probably be not fall anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly,
This is dropping...
sometime.
It's...
Sometime.
In the future.
11:29. That's what
okay.
I thought. Yeah, 11:29.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're holding on.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, it's a double New England style IPA. On their website, it says a lot about this beer. Actually, it's 8.6, which the next couple of beers we're recording in this little session are all going to be high percent.
8 and above.
So we might be a little
little
strung up near the end. But yeah, it's got 𝙁𝙊𝙊𝘿 hops, it's got Mosaic and Citra hops. Yeah, it's called Devil's Hopyard, so you're going to expect a lot of hops to come out of it.
You got a curder.
You got some. I think it just settles.
Curds and whey.
Yeah, we probably should have shook it up a little bit.
Yeah, let's just everywhere.
So the tasting notes of this beer on the website, let me read it out. Big, bold, but surprisingly smooth. That's what they called me in high school.
Hey now!
Sorry. Devil's Hopyard Imperial New England IPA is bursting with a complex blend of tropical fruit aroma. This 8.6 brew is double dry hopped with copious amounts of 𝙁𝙊𝙁, Mosaic, and Citra hops to impart bright tropical flavors with undertones of stone fruit and a hint of watermelon. Ooh. The devil's in the details, or in this case, the hopyard.
Ooh, clever.
Yes.
So, gentlemen, what are your thoughts on your first sips?
I like it. It's a good beer. It's definitely, how do I say, like a brighter taste to me. It's not as heavy.
It's dark.
It's right. It's brighter. It's light, but it's definitely still has that IPA feel. Fruity for sure.
Yes.
Good pick.
I don't know if I taste the stone fruit, which also I don't know what stone fruit tastes like.
I was going to say, I got no freaking clue.
It's a bit of an earthy
I don't
texture.
really taste the watermelon, even though it's just like a hint.
Yeah, just a little.
Do you taste Cheez-Its instead?
Cheez-Its? Maybe that's what's floating.
That was our snack of choice.
But I like the can. Cool little comic book feel to it.
Yes, so I know I'm
playing off the hops.
Yes,
the hopyard.
Mm-hmm. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but that's part of the pairing of this album this year.
Very much
I had a feeling, because I was going to mention that as well.
So my dad actually picked up this beer. I didn't even know about it until we had it together, and so that's how I was kind of introduced to it. I'm very Pavlovian when it comes to drinking beers. It's when I see like a cool logo, I'm like, oh, that's neat, and then I take it.
To be honest, the cans are a big selling point of the independent in a lot of the local breweries because I mean it's not like Anheuser-Busch put out another whatever. Their can could be just nothing. It doesn't matter,
right?
Because you know who they are and everything else, and that's like around the world, around wherever. These guys are so small scale that that's what you do. You walk into that aisle of craft beer and you go, ooh, that one looks cool, and then you buy it and you take it.
Exactly.
It's so much about appearance and image, and it's a cool way to hire local art talent too, like graphic designers and everything.
Pretty much goes against the whole
corporate.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Oh yeah,
but you actually are.
Oh yeah. Well, you can't even like taste it until the can's open. So, but yeah, the album has a lot of like cartoony style, like 60s cartoon like things, and this has like the panel layout on the can itself.
Zap!
Like, yeah,
And pow! And
hell,
Old school Batman.
yeah.
exactly, a devilish
Wonder what
hoppy
shark
experience.
repellent is.
Yeah, so I thought the connections between the two are going to be very strong for this.
Yeah, great pairing. That
Yeah.
was a cool idea.
But, you know, on top of it, you get, you know, a quality IPA, you know.
It is good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the kind of, and I'm not even a big hops fan in general.
Well,
but
this is light
Exactly, yeah.
for a double too.
Oh,
Right.
yeah. I feel the way they kind of layer it is pretty strong for me.
And this is a dangerous one to be drinking for
I know.
8%. Because
Exactly,
And
yeah.
now he's
really-
not feeling it.
It goes down
It's
well.
very
Uh,
smooth.
This is the first beer I've had by Connecticut Valley.
Yeah, I've heard from them only because a friend of mine who's in a band plays there a lot. They do a lot of acoustic duo stuff there, and he's always posting about it. And I always notice they kind of they're in South Windsor, so they're near the airport, so they've got like the whole
Yeah.
aviation
Airplane
kind of
thing, yeah.
theme.
Yeah, their logo is kind of like this
The airplane
fighter,
there, yeah, the old school.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. And I enjoy the kind of vibes it gives off,
Yeah,
you know.
definitely.
Got quite a few beers. I mean, like I said, I've never had any of their beer. They got
Yeah.
a spiked smoothie lemonade,
Yeah, I think
plum crazy sour.
a lot of these are seasonal. I think because I saw they were doing like a sale at the beginning of October for this kind of beer specifically. So I think this is like their summer-ish beer.
Okay.
So I think it might be out of season right now. But
So
Gotcha.
a couple episodes ago, we talked about Shabines and the not smoothie, cannoli beers that they do, and that's kind of their like thing is cannoli beer.
Yeah.
It's looking like Connecticut Valley has an entire line of smoothie beers,
Spiked smoothie.
spiked smoothie.
I'll have to
And
try
they're
one of
like
those.
Peach raspberry, strawberry banana, pineapple mango.
Interesting.
So yeah, as well as some
Some
sparkling water
CBD.
infused with CBD.
Yeah.
ooh,
They got a Tomcat
Tomcat.
Pilsner.
what?
They have a Tomcat Pilsner.
I'm suing.
And we haven't done Pilsners.
That could be it.
That's
They have a big list of sours.
Sours.
Jesus Christ,
Wow.
they have a lot of fucking beer.
I see you, Connecticut Valley.
Holy shit.
All right,
yeah, they're getting their reps in.
cool. Well, yeah, Devil's Hopyard. This is a cool one. This is a good one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All my things settled, more or less.
Mm.
I'm stealing.
Yeah,
another
you got
shot.
it on the bottom of yours
Yeah, I
too.
got it. Ooh.
Not bad, I like it.
Yeah, that is tasty.
And there's not a lot of like back end taste either. It's all kind
No,
of it all kind
right
of
there at
hits
the
you
front,
off.
and you're good.
Yeah,
Smooth.
yeah. That's
No, no real linger.
a lot of that smoothness. That's what I really like in beers. So
Mm-hmm.
shout out to Connecticut Valley Brewing Company. For,
Yeah.
for
Yeah, happy
tossing
with
that one
that.
out. And now in transition,
Ooh.
look at that smooth transition,
Oh,
like
wow,
the
yes.
smooth beer we just drank. So a lot of people probably don't know the artists, similar to Scratch Track.
Yes.
This is kind of the underground hip hop's biggest artist,
Okay.
and you know, it came out in 2004.
Yeah.
Bit of an older album. It's called Food, which is an anagram of MF Doom, the rapper's name. He started in like the early 90s with KMD, which is a rap trio that ended really abruptly after his brother passed away. And so he kind of took on this villainous kind of role in the wake of that. And Operation Doomsday came out in 1999. Also a really good album, but he still wasn't really himself on it. And it kind of came into fruition on this album. And I love this album. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. He has such a unique kind of style of rapping and flows. And I don't know if you guys saw the video I sent you in the group chat of
Yeah.
his kind of interesting style of sampling. He'll take just random like 80s songs, or like near the end there's like a Sesame Street feature, and he'll like speed it up and slow it down to where it sounds like a completely new song. And I think that kind of style is very interesting to me. So that's why I like this album.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but he definitely has a unique style of rapping.
Yes.
It's interesting.
It's
Yeah.
cartoony.
interesting. It is. There's, I don't know. There was just a lot going on there.
Yeah. He doesn't take himself too seriously. I feel
Yeah,
like a lot of
that
other
makes
rappers
sense.
do.
I think for me the production level stands out. You know, he put his thumbprint on the album with all the sampling of other songs and all the cartoons, and he kind of made a narrative going through the album, like,
Exactly.
you know. And
Yeah.
I was trying to research like what that ongoing theme was throughout.
Yeah.
I was hoping, Tom, you can
Okay,
kind of
so
elaborate a little more on that.
So he connects a lot with the Doctor Doom character
Yes,
from
right.
like the 60s or 70s Spider-Man,
Spider-Man,
comics. Oh, I should have used my Spider-Man glass. That's for one of
Oh.
our next episodes. Anyway, so the kind of story that he took from all of these random episodes is that he it's kind of the origin story of how he becomes himself. I know in like the little interlude in the middle section, he was doing a lot of secret experiments, and one went wrong, and he got horrible burns and injuries to his face, which explains why he wears the metal mask that he wears on the cover of the album and for the rest of MF Doom's kind of lineage. So it explains how he kind of travels through the entire Earth to find how to fix his face and also to become, master of the world, which we'll explain later. And so eventually he does find what he's looking for, and then it goes back to the beginning of the album where some like politician kind of pulls a bunch of strings to get him back into New York. And the idea is that he's trying to mind control all of like the big politicians and everyone on Earth to make him the master of the world. And so once it hits the end of that little interlude, I forget which track it was, or like the 7th or 8th, like in that little kind of 4-part section where there's none of him.
Yes. Right.
That is where the album kind of transitions, at least for me, into where there's like no hope for the rest of humanity and how he's kind of gotten everyone to be brainwashed essentially. And at the very end, they say, oh, Doom is master of the world and all this other stuff. And it ties in really well together for me.
Yeah.
Especially considering that this kind of narrative isn't what the comics had. He kind of created this out of nothing.
Right. It goes to show like what's going on in his head. Like that. That was the impressive thing for me. Is he heard all these different samples in whatever form, all these cartoons and songs, like I said, and put it together for his story that he was trying to portray, which I thought was cool.
So like you said earlier, the production aspect of things and how he took all these samples and how he took all of these different sounds and different noises and different episodes of different things and put them all together to make these songs and these things, that was cool. I did like that part. I personally just wasn't a fan of his rapping. I had a hard time getting into his lyrics. I had a hard time, I don't know, it was just wasn't super smooth, his rapping. And I think that's part of his, that's part of who he is and part of what he's trying to portray. But for me personally, like I just felt some of the songs I even wrote down, like it almost sounded like the lyrics were forced to fit the theme he was going for rather than like the lyrics came from the theme and it was natural. The second song, like Hoe Cakes, which actually, looking up now, was the only single released off this album. I don't know where you released a single as an underground rapper, but it was considered a single.
I feel like someone like him didn't really rely on singles.
No.
Oh, no, not at all.
But I just felt like that song, like the lyrics were forced, like with the rhyming to fit that super that was in it. And I don't know, it just didn't sound natural. Like, it was strange to me. I had a hard time listening to it and like vibing with it. I was kind of like working really hard at listening to it. That was part of my issue.
Yeah, it's not something you can kind of put on, and relax to almost.
No, I get that.
So the reason why I love Doom so much, I know I have a lot of love for vocals. If you haven't noticed on a few episodes. And lyricism is really important to me. So you go back to like some of the earliest commercial rap. It's just very simple rhyme schemes, like A B B. Whatever.
Yeah.
And then you get kind of into like the late '80s. You get like those kind of rhymes that are in the middle of the bars.
Yep.
So it kind of expands a little bit more, and then you get into the '90s. You get into like. That's where things go really insane for me. You get like Biggie doing like Hypnotize, where you get all these kind of daisy chain syllables kind of going in.
Right.
And he'll go even across the bar line where he'll not even rhyme on the beat. He'll just rhyme that'll go into like a later verse.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And then you get up to like, early 2000s with Eminem on Lose Yourself, where he's got all these multiple syllabic rhymes that kind of weave into each other.
Yeah.
And I think it all kind of joins into like the whole history of rap almost for me kind of comes together on this album, where he'll do multisyllabic rhymes and then it'll also be across the bar line where he has this entire he'll have setup lines it'll have punchlines that all the words will rhyme with each other.
Yeah.
So it's an insane amount of like dedication and like craftsmanship.
Yeah.
Where he's considered often to be like the rapper's favorite rapper, if that makes sense.
Okay, I got
So,
you. 'Cause
yeah.
he's not mainstream, kind of like the
Exactly.
guy that's...
Yeah.
Right.
And the way he kind of constructs his raps are very intricate for me. And I didn't even, for notes for this album, I didn't even like do a lot of notes on the production end. I just put my favorite bar from each song.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
I love lyrics and I love vocals. So that's why I'm a huge fan of this album.
That's cool. Well, like it's cool hearing your perspective on it because you know what you want to listen to on the album, and
Exactly.
and you're able to paint the picture for us.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is the food concept.
Yes.
Is there a bigger reason for it, or was it just to keep it light and fun?
Even on some tracks, the really only thing that ties it into the food theme is the title.
Yeah.
Like you get songs like Potholders,
Yeah.
which is really the only thing connecting it to that is that you're holding hot
Yeah.
shit in like
Right.
the pan.
Yeah.
So some of the connections aren't really as strong as
Yeah.
others. Like you get tracks like Cookies, the closing track,
Yeah.
which are so deeply woven into this cookie theme, where you get like all these things about Famous Amos and all like the
Girl Scouts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And even with that track, there's like a whole other storyline. If you look at the lyrics, it's talking about him being caught by his wife for watching porn and jerking off.
Oh.
And so the kind of double entendre is
Yeah.
the cookies, meaning the internet cookies that are tracking him, and that's how she finds
yeah.
him out. So I thought that was a really cool way to connect it to the theme
Yeah.
of food. But like I said before, not every track is as deep as that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's cool. Like I kind of left my notes kind of light because I wanted more info from you, someone who is a huge fan of the
Yeah,
of the
because I
album.
mean, again, if you listen to it for face value, you just listen to it, which the first, second, even struggled the third time to not just listen to that face value kind of thing.
Exactly.
It was hard to get into. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it was a tough album to get into.
Yeah.
You had a whole section in the middle of songs 6, 7, 8, and 9. They were all
Yes.
skits.
Yeah.
There was no, it was like when Eminem does his little skits with his producer on some of his albums. I think that was on Encore or the Eminem show. I mean, or whichever
Yeah.
one. He did that whole. There was a skit every couple of songs, but there were 4 in a row. I was like, for like 10 minutes, I'm just listening to these skits, and I was kind of like,
Yeah.
it killed the vibe from the music aspect.
Yes.
The flow.
Right.
Yes.
And then, I did notice, though, if you really listen to all his songs, like you were saying, the music and the production was good, but that wasn't his focus. It was his raps and his lyrics, because they started almost from the first beat, and you almost had no point in any of these songs where there weren't vocals.
Exactly.
Like, it was just rap.
Yeah.
Like, it was interesting. I did notice that his songs were just flooded with lyrics and flooded with raps and flooded with vocals. And even the choruses a lot of times were like little samples that just repeated, and then they went back into him rapping. There wasn't a ton. One thing I thought he did extremely well on this album was his featured artists. His featured artists, in my opinion, that was my favorite part of the album. Every couple of songs that he had a featured artist on, I actually marked off, but those songs for me were like better than the other ones.
Yeah.
Personally, I thought he just did a really good job of incorporating, really good, I noticed looking in here, that Count Bass D.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
it's one of his producers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, obviously I don't know much about him, but I'm realizing when I looked over some stuff, that's one of his producers, and he was on the second or third song, Potholders, third song.
Yeah, I liked his part on that. I like the sound of his voice.
Yeah.
And from someone who has never heard of or listened to MF Doom before, I was like, okay, who is that? Was that Doom, or was that the featured artist? So but when you listen to the other songs, you recognize the familiar voice. But I actually liked Count Bass D's voice on that. I liked his rapping style.
Yeah, so Doom has a lot of different personas that he goes by, like you mentioned before even recording this. This is really one of the only handful of albums that he goes under MF Doom. He has, there's an album he just goes by Doom. He was in KMD, like I said before. One of his best albums of all time, in my personal opinion, is Mad Villainy by
Right.
Mad Villain was the name of the group, was him and Madlib. But for the rest of that, most of the production on this was done by MF Doom himself. Only a handful of the tracks were done by other people.
Yep.
So even with that, with that production end and with the lyrical end, he's like a genius to me, personally, obviously. But yeah, that's part of the reason why I love it, is because most of the output was done by him specifically.
Yeah.
I thought they had a very similar sound to a band, Atmosphere. They're a hip hop group, and just his style of rapping and just has a very similar sound to this band Atmosphere. I've actually seen them live at Toad's Place. They were really cool to see. But it's like they're full band guitar, drums, and the whole deal, but then a guy that raps. They do a lot of samples, though, kind of a lot of that piano. That do like that, just random kind of piano that repeats. Atmosphere does a lot of that, and so when I heard some of those songs come in with like that repeating piano line, and you know the little bit of production behind it, and then him rapping and his voice and his style of rapping, it really sounded very similar to Atmosphere, and like that's one thing that I kept coming up in my head. I'd hear another song, I'm like, oh, this again sounds like an Atmosphere song, just with a little different twist on it. So definitely check them out to kind of compare. Would be interesting.
Okay.
It was, it's interesting to think. This came out in 2004, you said?
Yes.
So around that time, rap is turning into this kind of like bare bones, watered down kind of, other than Eminem. But like a lot of rappers are talking about like how many
we don't want him mad at
Listen,
us.
listen, E.
Yeah, I'll probably E from last time.
Marshall, relax. We got you.
I don't want to knock
It's an
on the
awfully
doors.
hot coffee pot.
But it seemed like around that time, a lot of rappers are talking about like how many cars they have, they're going to the club, how many girls they got, like that, and you lose a lot of that thematic elements that MF Doom put on his album, and he almost kind of made up the difference because he's got the food theme, he's got the villain theme running throughout the whole album, all the production elements, the guest, the featured artist. So it's just interesting how the mainstream rappers went one way and he went another way, and he is kind of like the underground.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting to me.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up, especially around when this album came out. That was, I would say, probably the beginning of what's called the bling era, where you kind of have everyone rapping about expensive cars and all of this other stuff, like
Ice on the Neck.
Yes, you have like Kanye kind of coming in.
Yep.
I think College Dropout came out in 2004. So that's kind of when this whole era started.
Yeah.
And so like you said, it's very interesting to see how his career kind of pivoted away from being, super mainstream. He kind of stayed in the underground a bit, and I think he suffered in terms of like monetization. Yeah. But in terms of what the art was, I think it's fantastic.
I think, and it's also interesting too how, usually when we make these episodes, we kind of go down the track list and talk about each track.
Yep.
We haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
No.
Over a half hour into the episode. And I think that's because I don't think the purpose of the album is to have the singles and the standalone songs. I think it's each track is a little piece to a overarching story and a goal that he was trying to accomplish, which is definitely a change up for us as a podcast, but overall it's just something different, something cool.
Yeah, you can't really listen to this album on shuffle.
That
makes sense.
No.
You kind of have to
it's like
start
reading
from
a book out of order.
Exactly, yeah. And I love those kind of things. It's like sitting down and watching a movie. One of my favorite rap albums of all time, To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar. It's so dense and full of like storytelling that you really just have to sit down, start at the beginning, and then listen to the whole thing through. And I love that kind of thematic connection in an album.
Yeah.
And also it also helps that the music on it is very solid too.
Yeah.
So
cool.
the themes, like I've said before, that's my favorite word. Yours is quintessential. Mine is thematic.
Thematic. Yes.
So
what's Mike's word? Fuck.
Sophomore.
Yes, it is sophomore.
Mike likes the sophomores.
Love it.
Sorry.
Oh,
God,
good
this better
shit.
make money soon because I'm gonna get fired.
I know. Oh my god.
Oh man.
No, definitely cool. Different. I do kind of fall in line more on Mike's end. The album overall isn't quite for me, but hearing your explanations helped fill in a lot of gaps that I had because I didn't have a lot of context.
Yes.
So I appreciate the themes and I appreciate the production that went into it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, but it just isn't an album or a style that I kind of gravitate towards.
It's a hard album if you don't know him.
Right.
Like
right.
you have all this background, Tom, on him, which is great.
Mm.
And so therefore you're seeing that story, you're seeing that development and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And then us coming in, honestly, the first time I listened to it, it was just, I was stacking wood. And I threw it in. And I said, well, while I'm stacking wood, I'm just going to listen to it. That was my first, no notes, no nothing, just top to bottom. And I was just like, and it opens up with, beef rap, and it's 2 minutes before any music or rapping comes in.
Yep.
And it's just like, I'm watching, Batman from 1960, on a Saturday morning, and I'm just like, the fuck am I listening to right now?
Yeah.
So then the rap comes in, and I'm kind of like, all right, I got it now, and wasn't super crazy about his voice and his style, but I'm listening to it, and then it goes through Hoe Cake, and then it goes to Potholders, and the music's interesting. It's kind of jumpy. Some of the percussion's very like stiff feeling
And like offbeat. Like it's not like right on the tempo.
So it was kind of hard to, like I said, kind of vibe to, or I'm kind of just listening.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get to that 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'm like, for a solid 10 minutes, I'm just listening to people talking about making gumbo and and I'm like, it's some guys like, how does an old guy eat all this food and not get a tummy ache? And I'm just like, what the hell just happened?
What is happening here? Yeah.
So that is actually a sample from a spoof on the Electric Company.
Okay.
So if he cuts out the actual words that he says, he's focusing on the ST syllables. So it's like he's talking about like sticks and stones. It's a very weird parody because he's talking about eating like just like straight up like rock soup and like shit like that.
It was weird.
Yeah, it's a weird sample, but I like the other instrumental parts behind it, especially on the first part of that, track 6.
Yep. Poop Up Platter.
Yes, that is a sample from the Fat Albert Halloween special.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know where he gets all these kind of like intricate things.
And is it all him? Does he have like a committee? Like,
no,
hey, looking for this stuff? It's really interesting.
Well, he does have a lot of producer background. He does the Metal Fingers like series where he has like 10 different volumes or something like that. So he is a producer by himself. He still produces rappers right now.
Yeah.
So he does have that kind of background in it. Okay. But the fact that he also has that really deep production background and the lyrical content to match, I thought that was really cool. Yeah. And I get that this kind of interlude isn't really not necessarily uninteresting, but it's not him.
Let's put it this way. It fits in with the album, the theme of the album, the idea of the album. What killed me was the fact that he had 4 of them in a row. Then finally, what was it? Con or whatever. He comes back in, and that one I thought he had a pretty interesting rhythm to his raps. It was a little different.
Yeah.
Vocally, the way he rapped it.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of my favorite tracks was when he came in with Guinness's, Guinness's?
Yes, with Angelica.
Oh, man. She killed it.
And she even said a Connecticut bar.
She did say a Connecticut bar.
Where is it?
But
stress, frustration, empty rhetoric, cold as winter in Connecticut, compassion lacking deficit.
Yeah.
So, and she's not even featured on a lot of other projects, too. So
I don't even know who she is, but I thought she was the best part of that song. And, like, that right there, that was my sleeper song because it was kind of like in the end of the album and out of nowhere, and I was just like, holy shit, she really is good at rapping, and her lyrics were good, and just the song, that was just a really good song.
Yeah, I really like that. But to bring it back to, like, that interlude section, if you notice at the end of Deep Fried Friends, which is track 5, that kind of exposition dump, it says, like, at the very end, he's traveling through remote villages trying to figure out a cure for his disfigured face. And it says, like, he continued his search, never showing his face unless threatened by bandits who foolishly wander alone.
Yes.
So I kind of took that section of, like, the guy, like, oh, I triple out here in the woods lately, like, as someone he meets along his travels, and how that kind of relates into him kind of figuring out how to conquer the entire world. And it says at the end of Fig Leaf Bicarbonate, which is the last track on that section, he finds what he's looking for amidst like hidden scrolls, and he's like cloaked in invulnerable armor and all this shit. So I understand musically and
thematically wise.
Yeah, it makes more sense in the themes of the album and not less for the music.
Yeah.
So I understand.
Yep.
But yeah, no, the second half is definitely where he becomes the most villainous on the album, when he finally has all of this stuff. Yeah.
Good shit.
Yeah, I like Deep Fried Friends. That was actually my number one. I really like that song.
Me too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought the chorus vocals were good on it.
Yeah.
They had that like friends, and then it was some other stuff. It was.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
That was cool. I like that little chorus. That little chorus section, and I thought the rap was good. The music was good behind it. In my opinion, it seemed more smooth than it was natural.
Yes.
Like to me.
Yeah.
It didn't sound like I said like Hoe Cakes for me was like it seemed very forced lyrically. And I get why he did it. I get but I don't know. There was just something about like that kind of lyrics that I was struggling with.
Yes.
But I did like that song. Deep Fried Friends was.
Yes.
I like that that ongoing. Is it like a synth part or horn part or key part? That.
Oh yeah.
I like that
I
ongoing
think it's synth or something.
Yeah, it had kind of like a throwback feel for me.
Oh yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Well, a lot of the samples he uses are like 80s samples,
Yeah, right.
I think. So it definitely has that kind of vibe to it.
Yep.
That I really enjoy. Yeah. I thought you guys would enjoy the track One Beer more because,
No,
Beer.
I was leaning towards that as being one of my sleepers at the first when I was like, oh, it's kind of a chill song, and I liked it. And then, but when I heard Guinness's and Angelica come in and the female rap part, and I don't know, I just really, really enjoyed that song.
My one of my favorite lyrical kind of connections on the album is on One Beer at the very end, where he's talking about he plots shows like robberies, and then he kind of relates how he does a bunch of tours and how they kind of relate to being like a bank robbing. In and out, 1, 2, 3, nobody's please, run the cash and you won't get a wet sweatshirt. The mic is the shoddy, nobody move, nobody get hurt. He says, came in the door and everybody on the floor, a whole string of jobs like we on tour. Every night on the score, coming to your corner store. I thought that was a really cool kind of connection that you don't really see a lot.
Yeah, right.
And all of those really tight kind of rhymes that are in between the bars, don't really end up on the very end. I mean, they do, but they're also in between the lines. So, again, lyrical content, very top-notch for me.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, so...
tracks?
Yeah, let's talk about some tracks.
Cool. All right, top track. So on any given day, I had a tough time
Me too.
picking either Deep Fried Friends or Potholders as my top. I like those two. So like on my notes I have Deep Fried Friends as my top and then Potholders as one of my dark horses, but like those two can easily switch. But let's go Deep Fried Friends today. I enjoy that one.
A bit of a mood for it.
Yeah, that was my number one as well. I thought it had a very catchy and good chorus, and like I said, I thought it sounded like a smoother song. It was a little more natural feel to it. It's just everything kind of worked really well with that song.
I'm going to go with one you haven't mentioned, with Rap Snitch Knishes, with Mr. Fantastic. I think that is the most melodic track on the album. There's not a whole lot of singing. Like Mike mentioned before, it's pretty rap-driven. But I feel like the sample kind of lends itself a bit more to the melodic side. I really liked Mr. Fantastic's line where he says, true to the ski mask, New York's the origin, play a fake gangster like an old accordion.
Yep.
And he says according to him. So that kind of connection was really cool for me too.
That is cool.
My least favorite was Filet a Rapper, which was in that kind of interlude section. There wasn't really a lot. They were just kind of like listing foods on it, and the sample wasn't really the best, but it thematically it works well. I gotta stop saying that damn word. It just didn't do it for me on Filet a Rapper. But,
my bottom tracks. Mike had already brought it up. It's the Poop Putt Platter.
Yeah.
All the way to Fig Leaf Bicarbonate.
Oh, you didn't like any of those?
No, I know their purpose now more clearer because of what you explained, Tom. But when I listened to an album, that section right there it was just a little too much for me.
Okay.
I would have liked to hear like another like actual song during that time. So that kind of whole section right there was my least favorite part. Those were my bottom.
Yeah, I put the last two songs just kind of by the time we got to those songs, and I don't know, Cookies, I get it. It had kind of, makes a little more sense after you explaining that not only did it have the food theme, but then the, beating off theme and everything else that was, stick it in there. I don't know. By the time I got to 14, 15 Vomit Spit Cookies, it just kind of, I was a little bit done with the album. So they just didn't really like do it for me. I was kind of like, at that point I was like, they're here. Okay. They're okay.
Yeah.
Sleeper.
Yes.
So for me, it was Guinness's. It's on
track.
that back half. It's after all of those, and it's the second song after the kind of, I guess you'd call it the break in the middle, with those skits. I thought the female rapper Angelica, she was great on it. I believe she came right in. It was her singing from the beginning, unless he had a small part beforehand. But either way, she was a big part of it and just absolutely killed it, and it was just a very, very well written and produced track altogether.
There's someone on the chorus named Four Eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Four Eyes.
I loved the spelling of his rap name too.
Four Eyes.
Yeah. I thought that was cool.
Like I mentioned before, I really like the track Cookies, and that was my kind of dark horse sleeper thing.
We got to decide what we're going to call it.
I know, we all
17 episodes in.
I know. We all have different names for it.
I just wrote the word horse in.
Yeah.
If you watch in the video, the sample that he was originally going to use was a Sesame Street sample from 70-something or whatever. I actually really prefer that beat a little bit better, but I don't think he got it cleared because he's talking about that kind of adult content with a Sesame Street feature.
Yeah.
But like I said, the kind of lyrical connections to all these cool cookie features with the kind of darker subplot of being caught doing that. It was very interesting for me. And I also like how all of the kind of storylines come together at the very end and still kind of leave it up to a bit of interpretation. So, Cookies.
Cool. My dark horse is, I have plural again. I can't just choose one anytime. It's hard for me to make a choice. But like I mentioned earlier, because potholders, so I want to mention that. But I also liked Con Carne and Con Queso. I enjoyed those two songs. Those were kind of cool. I would go back to those for sure.
You know what that means?
With beef and with cheese.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sí.
You shocked me.
Muy bien.
Grassy ass.
You got a grassy ass? Sorry.
Ratings?
All right. I don't want to start.
No?
Okay.
You start.
I gave it 2.5.
Oh, okay.
I just think it was conceptually and, going from that aspect of it, it was a cool album. Musically and more for the vibe and the flow, that's what kind of knocked it down for me. Just kind of a little bit of a more difficult album to listen to really vibe with, to really get into, especially not knowing him or anything prior to.
It's hard without context.
Exactly. It's not just like an easy listen album. There's a lot going on, and I think I listened to it 3 times. And that's not enough.
Yeah.
To really grasp.
Yeah, it takes more than a week.
Yeah. So that was the tough part.
I also gave it a 2.5, 2.5.
Okay.
For a lot of the same reasons Mike said. I love all the concepts and the themes, but I almost thought the food tie-ins mixed with the skits and the villainous, like trying to take over the world, I thought it was just kind of busy. I thought it was a lot going on for one album.
Okay.
I almost would have preferred one or the other, and then I probably would have maybe liked it a little bit more.
Okay.
I just thought it was a kind of crowded
Okay, yeah,
album.
I could see that.
But hearing your perspective on it and the explanations for a lot of the lyrics, kind of helped me out a lot. So I'm right in the middle there, 2.5,
Sure.
2.5 out of 5.
If you couldn't tell, I geek out about this album a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the best hip hop albums, personally, for me of all time. It's very accessible in comparison to a lot of his other stuff. I really enjoyed the fun and cartoonish rap flows and the bars across the whole project. I personally enjoyed the interlude a lot, where his character is kind of looking to power up all of the kind of food-related things. Also, if you really wanted to get into just him on the villainous side, I would recommend Operation Doomsday from 1999. That's a great album too. But for this one, I think the pacing was really good. The flow in between each track I thought was pretty solid. The really deep context you can kind of sink your teeth into with more listens. It's really nice. The kind of transition of power from Doom becoming kind of this messed up face guy to, the leader of the world. And, he was even on the phone at the very end with the president of the United States. We're like, oh, you're at the mercy of your deadliest enemy. And I thought that was really kind of cool and empowering. Seeing all of this kind of work put into it in such little amount of time it's so impressive to me. So
Is it happening?
I'm giving it a 5 out of 5.
Wow.
I fucking love this album.
Nice.
It's a perfect
Awesome.
He just blew his load.
Yeah,
I did.
That's it. He gave it 5.
You just nutted a little bit.
Wow. So I have a 5. You have a 5.
Does Mike have a 5?
Mike doesn't have
I
a
give it a
5.
5.
I don't think Mike would ever give a 5.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Oof.
This was pretty
5.
hoof for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah.
haven't hit that yet.
No, not yet.
Don't worry, babe.
We'll
We'll
see.
get there.
One day.
Awesome.
This
Cool.
beer, though,
Yes,
is
this
the beer.
Hopyard.
so smooth.
Yeah,
Like,
very
I've just
smooth.
been still sipping on it, and it is not like a double.
No, yeah.
No.
Good.
It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't stay too long. I think it's very. Again, like I said in the beginning, not a lot of back end taste. It all kind of hits you at once. And considering it's a double IPA,
Yeah.
you would expect it to be a little bit, harder to digest.
Yeah.
But
I don't have feeling
very
as
smooth.
like bloated either.
Exactly. Yeah.
I haven't finished it.
I'm giving this beer a 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5.
And considering I don't even like a lot of hops in my
Yeah.
beers,
Yeah.
and the kind of themes that this beer has, a very hoppiness, the name itself too.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. And if you haven't noticed the comic panel connections.
Yes. I thought that was a very awesome pairing. by
Yes,
the time.
this is my favorite pairing of beer and album so far.
Yes, for sure. I'm giving the beer a 3.5.
Okay.
Wait,
it's,
should I say it? Damn it.
It's a good beer. I'm gonna drink it again. I think I've had better IPAs or better beers, but it's solid. I do like how it's not heavy, heavy feeling. So I gave it a 3.5.
I also gave it a 3.5. Yeah.
I'm feeling very happy
No,
with
again,
this.
I just thought it was good. It was a clean drinking IPA, especially for a double. To be 8.5, I think it could be a dangerous beer to drink.
Oh yeah.
Because this is the kind I can imagine if I'm like gigging there, asking for this as I'm playing, and being 3 or 4 in, and not realizing that I've had 3 or 4, 8.5 or whatever
Yep.
percentage the beer is 8. Yeah, 8.6.
Yeah.
So, and then, not being able to play the last
Yeah, right.
10 songs in the set. But no, it's a smooth drink. It is for a double IPA. It goes down smooth. It doesn't have an overwhelming flavor. It doesn't hang long. You taste that New England IPA, that citrus, but it doesn't really like kick you in the tongue. You know what I mean? Like it just does go down smooth. So, yeah, 3.5.
There you go.
Perfect.
Cool. Shout outs?
Yes.
It's all you, Tom.
Okay.
Take it away.
MF Doom, I don't know if he has any kind of social media, but if you just look up MF Doom,
Yeah.
he also has a lot of names that he goes under.
Other personas.
Yeah, but I believe his main one is just MF Doom. But for Connecticut Valley Brewing, it's CT Valley Brewing on Instagram, and their website is ctvalleybrewing.com.
Very cool.
South Windsor, Connecticut.
Yeah, they have a
Go.
pretty elaborate website too, like
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
with their events, delivery, their shopping, their beers,
Yeah.
all that stuff. It's pretty cool.
Go pick
Yeah.
some up from them. Get this
For
one.
real, yeah.
If it's still available, go pick it up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Check it out. Cool.
Episode 11?
Episode 11. We're just
Next
moving
week.
right along.
Oh yeah.
Mike, this is your album. What do you got for us?
Oh, coming up is Avatar,
Yeah.
Hunter Gatherer. This will be our first, I would say, metal album.
Yeah.
And brand new 2020 came out this year.
It did.
And God, it kicks ass.
Can't wait to talk about it. We had our first rap album, now our first metal album. I'm bringing. So is this beer our first technical double IPA?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, so I'm bringing another double IPA next episode. It's a pretty well known one in Connecticut. It's called 𝙃𝙤𝙥𝙮 by New England Brewing Company. So I actually have never had it, and I've always wanted to have it, and I thought this would be a great time to crack it open. So we have that for next episode.
Yeah. So yeah, go pick up the beer, go listen to the album, tell us what you think about it, and we'll take some suggestions for next time.
Yeah, definitely. And if you want us to review a certain beer or album or anything, DM us, follow us, contact us, and we'll be sure to talk to you and line it up. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, Hops and Bops Podcast. We're streaming as always on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. We got a lot of great things coming up as we end our 2020 year. So be sure to stay tuned and follow us. So we'll talk to you soon.
Peace.